I've got some screen recording software going today. I'm trying out some different things. Last night in my web design class, I tried out some screen recording software called Jing. And the thing I didn't realize before I started was that there was a 5-minute time limit to recording. So like every 5 minutes, I'd run back to the computer and start it over. But that kind of sucks. But so I'm trying out a new one, which gives me the luxurious 15-minute time frame. So the nice thing about this is that it's going to record the screen, my screen here, and also my audio, and I'll be able to put that up on the website so you can refer back to it. I'm working on getting the full-blown, 60-minute or however one, but right now we're going to be using this. So once again, on Monday, your assignment is going to be to make a storyboard for Project 1. And so I've made a little sample storyboard here. Now, your storyboards can be at any level of drawing ability. You can use stick figures, or you could use very sophisticated illustrations or photographs, whatever you feel you would like to do that sort of accurately or adequately displays your intention for what you want to do with your little video here. Okay, or your animation, whatever it is you're doing. So, so here's my idea. That stems from the fact that I had access to that cloud video, right? And so I thought, oh, I could use something with clouds in it. So I thought, well, what do you associate with clouds? Well, comfort, lightness. Okay, how about like a bed, an ad for like a company that makes beds, right? So I started out, I just went into Adobe Illustrator, and I drew these little rectangles on here that represent the screen. And I drew in these little, clouds. These are actual size too. This is the actual size of the cloud. And so what I have here is I have a number right there. It says clouds float across the sky, and then I have VO, which is just my shorthand for voiceover. There are 3 things you need to get a good night's sleep, and there's a big number 3 there, right? So here in my second storyboard panel, I say 1, and the number 1 comes up, and then in 3, I say a great bed. And I have some sort of a picture of a bed show up there. And then I say 2, and then I say a great bed. And then I say and 3, and I say, well, yeah, you guessed it, right? So then sleep easy beds, easy as 1, 2, 3. I bring the logo in, I fade in the text, and then the tagline, and then the ad is done. Okay? So that was my original concept. Now I just want to show you how the concept changed when it came to actually creating the artwork and everything. So then, now as you realize, Adobe After Effects is a very powerful program that can bring in elements from different programs. So for example, I really like Illustrator. It's a great program for designing things. So what I did was I made like a Sleep Easy logo in here, which is like the most boring, worst logo ever designed, okay? But here it is, and it was easy to design, and it was easy to bring in just by import file into After Effects, right? Well, so then I went out on the web, and I said, well, I need to find a bed. So I did a search for free vector bed, and I found all these crazy beds and everything, and I was like, oh, these are all really cool. And then I found this one bed. I don't think I'm going to, oh, here it is. I found this bed right here. It's called a Heavenly Bed. I said, oh my God, that's crazy. That's, exactly the kind of thing I'm going to do. So, and it says that it's a free vector file. So I clicked on Visit Page. And, of course, I went to the wrong page. I have no idea what's going on there. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow, let's just say that somehow I found it and was able to get a hold of it, right? So what I did was I opened that file up in Illustrator. And here it is. And so what I did was I just took out the Heavenly Beds text that was under here and called it Sleep Easy Beds. So there was my file, my logo that I could use for the video. The next thing that I did was I saved this as a PNG file. Why would I do that? Why would I save it as a PNG? Yes, Chad.
Preserve transparency.
Yeah, exactly. So in Illustrator, if you say File and Export, you can save something as a PNG file, which will make the background transparent.
That way I could put it on top of the clouds, right? So I did that, and then I went and I found some stock footage. I just simply did a little search and said like stock footage clouds, and found a bunch of different choices. Let's see, let's just do images here. And of course, you find all kinds of crazy choices that you could go to. And so I found a free website that had some free clouds, right? So then I basically made all my, gathered all my elements together. I got the cloud video, I got the logo, and then I decided, well, maybe I'll do this without a bed and just do it with the voiceover and the clouds, right? So I went into Adobe After Effects, and then I simply came into this section right here, and you can take your mouse in the project section, and you can come over here and you can right click in the projects window and just go import and then file, and you can bring in any elements that you want. So I imported the Sleep Easy Bed logo that I had changed. Yes?
What's a PNG file before we get to it?
Okay, a PNG file is a file with a transparent background. And usually you can make those in programs like Photoshop and Illustrator. Okay? And so I brought that in I brought in the clouds, which is this MPEG right here. And then I decided, well, I really need some audio with this. So I went out to one of my favorite sites where I can get free audio. And I went to this website here, which is called FlashKit. And FlashKit has a bunch of free Flash files, but they also have free audio files. And the key thing here is that you're using stuff that is copyright free, royalty free, and it's okay for you to use, as opposed to copyrighted material. So I went into FlashKit and I clicked over here on sound loops, and they have sound effects and sound loops. And then I went down here and I clicked on ambient soundscapes, and I just went down here and I previewed some. Now a lot of them tend to be kind of strange. It's like a flying saucer. This one's called Buried Alice. That's kind of scary. That's kind of cool, but maybe not appropriate for a bed app, So anyway, there's just millions of these things on here. So I went through and I found one that I thought was very appropriate. And then I went back, saved it onto my desktop, right-clicked on this and just did import file, and then brought in my audio, which is called Light something. It's this one right here. Now, then I also needed my voiceover. If we go back to the storyboard, we can see that I have voiceover here where I'm actually saying stuff. So all I did was I just took out my iPhone, turned on the voice memo thing, and just read this text here. There are 3 things you need to get a good night's sleep. Paused a little. 1, great bed. 2, great bed. And 3, yeah, you guessed it. Sleep Easy Beds 1, 2, 3, right? Stopped it, clicked the email button, and sent it to myself. It came in. Does anybody know what format memos come in as? It came in as something called .mp4 format. Okay, so it's like the next step past MP3. But I tried importing that into After Effects, and it didn't like it. So does anybody know an easy way to convert audio files to other formats? iTunes. Okay. In iTunes, you can click on iTunes, and iTunes has a setting where it's already set up to import files a certain way, and you can tell it to import them a different way. So for example, if I go to iTunes here, and I say that I want to, let's say that I want to open, let's see, we'll say a new playlist here. And okay, so here's my audio 1 file that I dragged in, which was an MP4 file, right? If you right click on it, you'll see that iTunes by default is set up to convert things to something called AAC, which is Apple's proprietary format to make
to compress files and make them sound really good. But you know, this is not as friendly, as user-friendly a format as something like MP3. So if you go into iTunes and you go under Preferences, and you click on, it says when you insert a CD, ask to import, and then you click on Import Settings, this setting right here is what it will be set up to change things or translate files into a new setting. So if I click on this and I change it to MP3, notice you also have WAV in there, and hit OK and then hit OK again. Now when I right click on my audio file, the choice that it gives me is to create an MP3 version. Okay? So if I come down and I click Create MP3 Version, it actually does that. It creates an MP3 version of my file and drops it in right underneath it. Then I can just grab that file and copy it or drag it onto my desktop and then import it into After Effects, which is exactly what I did. And you can see right here, audio1.mp3. So now I had my clouds, I had my music for the background, I had my logo, and I had my audio file, right? Now each one of those, I grab them and I drag them down to the timeline to give them their own timeline, right? And I apologize for the fact my screen is so small so we can't see how far this is. And then I just stack them up in order. The audio files are at the back because at the bottom because it doesn't really matter you know what level you see those on. That gets them out of the way. The video file is at the very back of the graphics because I want everything on top of that. The Sleep Easy logo is on top of that. And then I simply made text layers which would hold my numbers 1, 2, and 3, right? So as you can see here, there's the video. If I grab my playback head and I start moving it, you can see the clouds moving. And then you see that the number 3 comes in here. This is simply a text layer. I simply clicked on this text tool here, dragged out a marquee, and put a number in. So there's 3, and it lasts as long as my audio track makes it last, right? Then it switches over. I say there are 3 things you need, and then I say there's the first thing you need. So here's another text track that has a number 1 on it. Then I say, you know, here's the second thing you need, there's the 2. And then finally the third thing you need, the 3. And then I move over to talking about the logo or the name of the company, and the logo comes in. So I skipped out on having an actual bed in there altogether. So let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to hit this button up here, which is called the RAM preview, which is going to render. First it's going to go through and render the audio and any special effects I have so that they'll be ready to play at full speed. Now, let me give you a fair warning. My laptop is a little sluggish, so if it pauses, you know, that's just due to the sluggishness of the laptop. So when it's done rendering, it's just going to go ahead and play the whole thing. Now one of the points here is that when you make a storyboard, you don't have to stick exactly that storyboard. That's a jumping off point for your ideas. Okay, so there's the logo. So it's almost at the end here. This is a 30-second dealie. So we can see right here, as this counter, it's at 20 seconds. There's not much else happening, just the clouds moving, so it's rendering it pretty quickly.
There are 3 things you need to get a good night's sleep. 1, a great bed. 2, a great bed. And 3, yeah, you guessed it. Sleep Easy beds. Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that completely didn't work at all. Whatever I just did, don't do that. Okay. So let's stop it for a second. This is ridiculous. Okay. Let's try playing this thing again. Okay, so we rewind it. Let's see if it'll play. No, that won't play with it. All right.
There are 3 things you need to get a good night's sleep. 1, a great bed. 2. A great bed. And 3.